Of course, it's my great pleasure to be among the first to officially welcome you to the ICRISAT's 40th Anniversary Science Symposium, which is titled, How Can Smallholder Farming Feed the World and Promote Economic Growth? I think as we all know, during this week, ICRISAT and all of our partners are recognizing all of the achievements that we have accomplished with our many partners around the world over the past 40 years. But I think we also recognize that the ultimate beneficiaries of all of our efforts, the smallholder farmers of the semi-arid tropics in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia, we continue to face tremendous challenges, not only today, but as well in the future. Thus, we think it's time to sit together, to refocus, to re-energize, and to renew all of our ideas, our strategies, and of course our commitments to smallholder farming. These, essentially, are the objectives of this Science Symposium for the next day and a half. Of course, to do so, we look forward to lively discussions, stimulating presentations, and the putting forth of new ideas and new approaches that can build on our existing and our new opportunities in science and development. We're very pleased that our invited speakers and all of our invited guests accepted our invitation to be with us today and tomorrow, and we look forward to stimulating presentations and the discussions by all over the course of the next day and a half. I would now like to request that the speakers for this opening session take their seats on the dais. I will call them one by one, starting with our keynote speaker for this morning, Dr. Akim Adesina, the Minister of Agriculture and Development for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Very pleased that you could be with us today. We also have with us on this dais today the chairman of ICRISAT's governing board, Dr. Nigel Poole. I'd like to call on our Director General, Dr. William Dar, to join us on the dais. And finally, Dr. Adama Traore, a member of ICRISAT's governing board, who will also be chairing this opening session as soon as I turn over the mic to him. So I hope everyone has received a copy of the program for the next day and a half. I think as you've seen in the program, we've tried to give ample time to presenters, our distinguished invited speakers, but as well enough time for all of us to have a good and lively discussion. So we've limited the number of speakers to only 2 for each of our sessions. We'll have the plenary sessions today and tomorrow morning here in this auditorium. They'll be from 9 o'clock in the morning until 12:30. There'll be a break each morning where we'll have tea and coffee, and they will be served in the academic court, which is immediately behind this auditorium. This morning, before we break for tea and coffee, or just after the morning opening session, we will be having a group photograph, and we'll provide you more details just at that time as to where that will be taking place. Also, during each of the morning breaks, you may have noticed that there's 16 jewels of ICRISAT displayed in our academic court, and we have posters that present more details on the achievements that we have accomplished for each of those, as well as some of our ideas on how we want to use those to move forward. And we've asked the scientists that are involved in each of those to be present during the 2 morning coffee breaks. So please feel free to interact with them, discuss each of those jewels. Following lunch today, we will have 4 parallel sessions. 2 of these are going to be taking place in the CF Bentley conference room, which is down the walkway that's immediately behind this auditorium. The other 2 will be taking place in the conference room of what we call the PTTC building, which is the large white building that you see to the right, to my right, of this auditorium. I think you will see that there should be sufficient signs, and there'll be plenty of staff members who will be happy to point you to one or the other of those 2 locations. We will also be providing buses to transport anyone who wants to go to the PTTC conference room, and those buses will be departing close to where we'll be having lunch about 15 minutes before we start the afternoon session at 2 o'clock. I'll be making an announcement for that. It's also a lovely 5 or maybe 5 to 10 minute walk, and it doesn't look like it's going to be raining today, so some of you may want to walk over to the PTTC as well. Now, to keep these sessions balanced and keep the numbers in a reasonable for the size of the rooms, we've actually asked all of the ICRISAT staff to attend one or the other of the parallel sessions. We've not assigned our invited guests and many others, so feel free to decide which sessions you'd like to attend. And we hope that you will have a very lively interaction at each of those parallel sessions. Now, since obviously we can't be in 2 places at one time, we will be providing feedback on those sessions tomorrow morning, and we've asked the chairs of each of those 4 sessions to give us a very brief feedback on what were the main lessons learned during each of those parallel sessions, and that will take place during the final session tomorrow morning here in the auditorium. Following that feedback, we will be ending the symposium with a panel discussion. And we've also asked the chairs of each of our sessions to be with us, to kind of give us their reflections on what did they hear that really enticed them on the topic of smallholder farming. What would they like to tell all of us that we should keep in mind as we look towards the future? And so we'll be having about a 45-minute or so final panel discussion here in the auditorium in the last session. Finally, all of the sessions that we have in the symposium are being streamed live over the KSI Connect video connection, and you'll be seeing webcams. Keep that in mind as you make your presentations. You are being seen by hopefully all of our ICRISAT staff, wherever they're located. We will also be making those presentations available on our KSI Connect system, which then we can make those available to the world. So before I turn over the mic to Dr. Karori as chair of the opening session, just a little bit of logistics on the symposium, particularly for our invited participants. I trust that everyone has settled in on the campus, finding your way around. Obviously, everyone, I think, has made it to this room and hopefully has made it to breakfast. Please feel free to enjoy the campus. It's a lovely campus, and we hope that you will have some time to walk around and enjoy it. I think most of the logistics for your stay here are provided in the conference bag that you were given upon your arrival. I should point out, if you haven't noticed, that the bags are made by ICRISAT's Association for Community Development. That's located here on the campus, and that provides educational opportunities for the local villages. But as well, for anybody who will be suffering or is already suffering from email withdrawal symptoms. We have set up an internet cafe. It's located in a room just behind the auditorium. It has computers, a printer, and it has Wi-Fi connections. Password and other logistics for connecting to the internet are provided, as well as contact details in case you're having difficulties. So feel free to use that facility during breaks or during lunch. And it'll be available up until late this evening, I believe, as well. So finally, if there's anything I or any of my staff or anyone who has a official ICRISAT badge on their neck, please feel free to ask, and I'm sure they will do their best to make your stay more enjoyable, or at least to point you to someone who can take care of any issues that you might have. I would like to introduce the staff in my office because they've been key, obviously, in setting up the symposium. They'll also be very important in helping you in the logistics. So, Anamant Rao, Aruna, Omkar, are your key people to contact if you have any issues, or they'll be obviously contacting you as well for any other logistics. So at this point, all that I need to do is just say welcome once again. I greatly appreciate everyone's participation in the conference. I look forward to a stimulating symposium. So I would like to now request Dr. Adama Traore to chair the opening session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doug, for your kind work and your welcome to our participants. Honorable Minister Adesina and dear friend, dear Nigel Cole, our chair on the board, and all the governing board members there, distinguished guests, dear Willie and Dave, dear colleagues from ICRISAT and the CCIM representative there, Indian and African nurse representative, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and welcome again to this very important introduction to our 40th anniversary of ICRISAT. We could not make a better choice to start with the science symposium. Let me first thank ICRISAT for inviting all you to participate to this very important symposium. I'm very pleased and honored to share this ceremonial session. And thanks again everyone to be there with us and to help to deal with this very important point. How can smallholder farming feed the world and promote economic growth? As you know, we believe in ICRISAT, but we hope in the next 2 days, with your contribution from all, to be able to show this very clear and to fit in the different process we have also in ICRISAT, our strategic plan to fit better, to help to show how smallholder farming can feed the world and promote economic growth. Now let me very sincerely thank again everyone who be there with us, and first to invite our dear colleague from the governing board, Nigel Poole, to make his opening remark. Nigel.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Minister, friends, partners, colleagues, welcome to ICRISAT. It is actually a considerable honour for me to be able to say a few words at the start of this symposium, because ICRISAT is serious when we say we are going to continue to work every hour that God sends us to change things for the better in the dry tropics and help the poor. And that is why we have chosen the title of this symposium and invited you. Now, we are 40 years old. It's our birthday party. In those 40 years, the world's population has doubled. The population of Nigeria has tripled. The population of India has doubled. Whatever happens in the future, we know we must increase food supply. We must improve nutrition, particularly for the young. We must enable smallholder farmers to produce beyond their subsistence level. We must improve their access to the market. And we must improve the development of partnerships. You know, agricultural growth is a very effective way of reducing poverty and hunger. There was a recent study, I have to quote the figures here, is that a 1%, just a 1% increase in agricultural income per capita reduces the number of people living in extreme poverty by between 0.6 and 1.8%. That is so worth achieving. It sounds little, but it's worth achieving. Because it's a paradox about poverty and hunger. It is often the poorest sectors of the community or the population that are engaged in farming in the developing world. If we look at sub-Saharan Africa, the potential is there for increased food production. But hunger and malnutrition still remain one of the core obstacles to overall development. Many of these smallholder farmers, they're trapped. They're trapped in their marginalized communities. They're resource poor and they are shock prone. Their agricultural success every year, or their agricultural failure every year, determines whether they, their children, their families have enough to eat, have the right food to eat, are able to send their children to school, particularly the females, and they can earn enough money to save to buy the seeds the next year, or the fertilizer, or what have you. Let me come off the message slightly here. I am often asked why I do this job, why my board members do this job. What drives me are the figures for, we call it stunting children. When a child in its first 3 or 4 years does not receive small carbohydrates, they've got the vitamins, the amino acids, the fatty acids, etc., which enables them to grow and reach their full potential intellectually and physically as adults. The figures for stunting children in India was 42%. Whoops, my friend Dr. Supash told me last night it's 47%. The figure for Africa is 28%. It doesn't matter exactly what it is. It is a disgusting disgrace that in 2012, those children are being maltreated that way by us. Now, over the years, let me just come back to that figure about nutrition. My wife and I were reminiscing last night. We were both born just after the Second World War in London, where food was rationed. But the governments knew. They didn't have all the science data, they didn't have all the explanations of vitamins and amino acids. They gave to every child, as we grew up, cotton oil, orange juice, and milk, until he was 7 years old. It was based on research at the Research Institute during the war, up in Aberdeen. That has been a key factor in the development of my generation. So we know the answers in many ways. The number. Over the years, we have learned a lot. Much has been achieved, We have succeeded in a lot of others. Much has been achieved due to you. I'm reading the statements. Due to you in this room. So thank you. But the numbers and conditions of the poor continue to increase and grow. It's a bit like running up the down escalator as children used to play this game. If you slow down or you stop for 1 iota, you go straight to the bottom. You cannot stop, you cannot allow any hiccup in this drive at ICRISAT to improve the lives of the poor in the dry tropics. Now, I don't think anyone in this room believes that there is a single magic bullet solution to the problems. Of course there's not. We just got to continue to work hard on many fronts to win the war. But I'm also sure that no one in this room believes that we can go on doing just the same day in, day out. We must keep on asking ourselves, what do we need to change to become more effective in helping these hundreds of millions of desperate poor? ICRISAT, we at ICRISAT, we have in the last couple of years have reorientated, sharpened our strategy for 2020. It's in your bags somewhere. It's called Inclusive Market-Oriented Development, or IMOD. Now that's not a very catchy title, but it says what it does. Inclusive Market-Oriented Development. And we will keep on reviewing that strategy. I guarantee you that. Because in a nutshell, IMOD connects the science, the agriculture, the research level, connects to the poor farmers, and it links them to the markets. And there's much more of that in that. And one of the things I wish to achieve, and I'm sure my fellow board members wish to achieve during the next 2 days, is to hear real views on those on IMOD and what we can do to improve. We believe that partnerships, none of that could be achieved without partnerships with our sister centres, with ours, with a whole load of people. But I just want to offer one particular comment on the future as the world develops, and that is going to be the importance of the public partnership, because that offers some of the solutions we need. It offers a way of getting investment into agriculture, not just for the major crops, but for the crops which the poor in our regions depend upon, and which also the children depend upon for their nutrition. Now, I have seen how these public-private partnerships can succeed in improving areas. But they can only work if there is mutual trust and responsibility and respect. ICRISAT, we work very hard at developing and maintaining those partnerships. But again, it can be easily destroyed. It can be easily lost. And once lost, it is very, very hard to regain. So again, a plea to keep on helping us, ICRISAT, develop and work with you with its partners. Just, I've witnessed at first hand what my colleagues in ICRISAT and SAT do. I just want to pick up 2 examples. Do you know that there was a pioneering project started 13 years ago here in Lebanon? It's now a role model for community natural resource development, both in Asia and in sub-Saharan Africa. Some figures here for our soil fertility program. When we recall the Chetland, which feels like that in England, it covers 3 million hectares. It involves 3 million farmers. With yields increasing up to some 66%, 2,000 increase in yields. This is a figure which is really exciting planners, politicians, and the private sector around the world. The economic return during the last few years of rainy season was, in its green road, was estimated to be $130 doing that, and congratulations to all those who achieved that and with our partners. Also, one other thing I want to emphasize before I sit down is that you see us from systems perspective. This is not some academic concept in a university in California or in London or in Paris or wherever. It actually is here, listening to people, trying to understand people, because it helps us to understand how development actually happens. Not as an academic exercise, but how it actually happens here for them. How can it be treated? How can it be sustained? So the poor in Asia and Africa are not prepared for an emergency food here, because that goes nowhere. How can the poorest be involved in our work, in our decision making? How can we have that dialogue? And that is what the systems perspective, part of what the systems perspective process do. And there are many, many other titles which I think are just as important. I haven't got time. Gender issues, technology transfer, value chains, information technology. They all, that doesn't mean they're extremely important to cover these. I want to finish there, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, friends. Dr. Hossington said that we are rather proud of our campus. Please enjoy it. We are extremely proud of our colleagues in ICRISAT. Please talk to them, interact with them, build partnerships with them, and above all, enjoy the next 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Nigel. I think that we were very pleased on your work on IMOD, our very important strategic plan from ICRISAT element, which enabled the poor to be linked with the market, and also you give a high level on the partnership issue and the system perspective. All this will be in the address of Belida, the DG from ICRISAT, in his presentation of ICRISAT strategic plan to 2020. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me also welcome all of you to this celebration of the 48th anniversary of your institute, ICRISAT. We would like to welcome back the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, who started his career here at ICRISAT as a scientist. Welcome, Akim. So, you know, ICRISAT not only produces products for the poor, we also produce means to research. We are lucky because we also produce a president of an international bank. That's the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFA, who is also from Nigeria, Kanayu, who was a scientist. We are lucky that our chair of our governing board is here with us, together with the rest of the members of the board. Let's welcome Nigel Good. And one of the
champions for ICRISAT in Sub-Saharan Africa. Yes, I've always been there when we need him 24/7. Adama and to all of you who have come and really be a part of this anniversary science symposium. It was necessary to have you because you have been, part of the movement in terms of looking at the very concerns and problems of the poor in the developing countries of the world. And in this particular instance, we are zeroing in our focus and discussion on smallholder farming in the dryland tropics of Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. I'll be highlighting with you the ICRISAT Strategic Plan to 2020, which has been the result of very comprehensive, inclusive discussions between and among our partners, various stakeholders. And this strategic plan has been in operation for the last 2 years. This is its second year. And it was timely that we are organizing this symposium. Again, for the very purpose of looking at whether we are on stream and seeing to it that in the course of time, we will be able to make some midterm corrections as a result of this important symposium. So, what are the dryland tropics? They are, as I've said in the beginning, ICRISAT is focused in Sub-Saharan Africa and in Asia, while we work with various developing countries in the world outside these regions in a number of modes, like states of their cluster. We work in 55 developing countries in these two regions, and the dryland tropics covers 6.5 million square kilometers and is populated with 2 billion people. And these are, if you look at the ecology of these dryland tropics, these are the very challenged agroecosystems where dryland agriculture is as important as any activity. Now, what have been the stumbling blocks over these years and continue to affect the farmers in these dryland tropics, including that of the people living in these areas? Well, basic poverty has always been a problem all this time. When you look at those earning less than $1 a day, there are 300 million people. And for those living on less than $2 a day, 700 million people. So these are the very focus with which our work with partners are directed to. How can we handle pervasive poverty in the dryland tropics of Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa? Mention has been made about this problem of malnutrition. We should not let this continue to affect the children of the world, developing countries. In our case, it's Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. 42% of our children are malnourished. And just to be highlighting Sub-Saharan Africa, we have 27% of children malnourished. Now, on top of these two big issues on poverty and on malnourishment, there is this looming perfect storm already hovering upon all of us. And not only stopping agriculture or affecting agriculture, but every sector of the society. And these are highlighted in, bold terms, climate change, which is really now starting to hit everyone. You can see the drought that is happening not only in India, but also USA, Russia, China to that extent. And you will now see the issues of food inflation again stopping society at large, starting now and up to next year. There are many other issues. Land degradation, desertification at the rate of 1% a year. Energy crisis, still a major problem because prices of energy continues to rise and is impacting into smallholder agriculture and loss of biodiversity. This is having a telling effect into the habitat, into the various ecosystems that we work on, and to capital explosion of population. We have now 7 billion today. By 2050, we will reach 9.2 billion. There are challenges now today to feed this 1 billion. How much more with all these global contemporary challenges that are affecting humanity? The world cares. Developed countries have pledged now to support Africa, to support developing countries, reduce poverty, ensure food security, and protect the environment. But why is not poverty and hunger not reducing? No. Which means this is a challenge also for international agricultural research centers like ICRISAT and many other partners. And even Dr. Norman Borlaug found it difficult there. He said they cannot eat potential. He's referring to the poor people, the small farmers. Africa needs inputs, access to markets, infrastructure, and credit. So here it is not just technology that is necessary, but all things put together. We need to bring the puzzle together and solve as one the problems of poverty, hunger, malnutrition, and environmental degradation. Highlighting today, as of today, together with our partners, ICRISAT have done so well, but we need more impacts to be created. We have, with partners, they have released more than 830 varieties of the crops that we have been working on in 79 countries. We have now grown the number of germplasm accessions in our gene banks. We have made a big dent now, a big impact in terms of soil and water management measures as entry point in a very complex system. Mention has been made about now the impacts into 3 million farmers in 3 million hectares. In the state of Karnataka, we have Professor Raju here, the advisor to the Chief Minister of Karnataka, who continues to work with us, in Karnataka, and we say is now worked upon this approach of soil revival as the entry point that we mentioned, entry point to a complex farming system, where later on you bring in the problems or the issues on improved germplasm and many other things. So this is now giving us a credibility that yes, natural resource management work in the CG system works for these smallholder farmers and many other of these successes. Let me highlight one after the other, these successes. We have a publication that will be launched on Wednesday. We titled it The Jewels of ICRISAT. Again, this is just to highlight the big ones, although we have had upon these for the last 40 years, many of these products, these technologies and approaches, helping the poorest of the poor in Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. The groundnut revolution that is now taking place in Anandapur, this is one district where almost 1 million hectares of groundnut or peanut is planted. You know, in this area, there have been the use of a 60-year-old variety, GMB2. And for the last 3-4 years, we were able to start working in a much more effective way with various partners in seeing to it that new varieties that have been released by our partners here in India under the auspices of the Indian Council for Agricultural Research, that this variety is now going to be used in a big way. And so today, this has been adopted in 40,000 hectares, so it's still a long way to go. And you know, seed bulking for peanuts or groundnut is a big challenge. So the yields have increased, including that of the net incomes of the smallholder farmers. Improved pigeon pea in Tanzania, where pigeon pea has never been an important crop. Today, with the improved varieties that have been done in Tanzania, today Tanzania is exporting to India. India is still in need of 3 to 5 million tons of pulses every year. And so Tanzania and many other countries in Eastern and Southern Africa are now producing a number of these volumes, including that of Kenya and Zimbabwe or Malawi, for example. Now, we have also promoted the first publicly bred marker-assisted pearl-millet IP in the north of India. Today, we have now reached almost 1 million hectares, and already the net income has given a higher, income to the smallholder farmers, those growing hybrid pearl-millet. We have the first world commercial hybrid pigeon system, cytoplasmic male sterility system. This is the first breakthrough in the dunes. Today, we are expanding in a big way with the help and support of the Indian government. Today, we are promoting this in 100,000 hectares. Again, to look at what are those obstacles yet before this is made the very platform for pulses revolution in India, and whatever lessons we will derive from this will also impact into various countries in Sub-Saharan Africa. Microdosing fertilizer application, it's such a simple technique. There's nothing spectacular. But because of the low usage of fertilizers in Sub-Saharan Africa, the rate of 8 to 10 kilograms per hectare of nitrogen per year, microdosing is making a big headway, not only in West Central Africa, but also in Southern Africa. Community watershed, this has been mentioned by our chair of the board, making big impacts in Karnataka. And we are getting the lessons from our upscaling efforts from Karnataka. And the same big upscaling efforts are to be done. Actually, has started here in Andhra Pradesh, and that of Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. So this is the community watershed management approach that we would like to take lessons to Sub-Saharan Africa, looking at the microdosing as the entry point. So we may call the next big project for Sub-Saharan Africa microdosing plus, which means fertilization, micronutrients, and other water conservation measures. And AGRA has been, we are in contact with AGRA, and we are moving in a big way in terms of upscaling microdosing plus in Sub-Saharan Africa. The same is true for African market gardens. The birth of our crop diversification program started in Nigeria, in West Africa. And these African market gardens have now been promoted in most of the Western African countries. And, you know, diversification is key. It diversifies the sources of income, not only for the crops that we have been improving all these years, but fruits and vegetables that are important into the production system. And we are working on this upscaling with the whole vegetable sector based in Taiwan. Low-cost aflatoxin monitoring. You know, this has been key. And just to highlight one example of a country in Southern Africa, Malawi for one. Their groundnuts or peanuts had this problem of aflatoxin at one time. And they were then exporting peanuts to Europe, much more UK. Today, we are working together with them, having established these kits that will detect aflatoxin. Now, the groundnut or the peanut market to Europe has been continued, and Malawi, more than 100,000 farmers working under NASPAM are now benefiting from the work that we do together with them. Enable also genomics for orphan crops. We have made it possible for the last 5-8 years, utilizing now the new science tools. And so today, I'm happy to mention that we have now led the sequencing of 2 of the crops that we are working on, pigeon pea and chickpea. We are at the verge of starting a new genome sequencing on one of the dryland cereals, and that's on per millet. Village dynamic studies, you know, popularly known as VLS, all this time, the last 30-35 years. This is producing lots of longitudinal data sets that will impact into, again, decision making in terms of what are the development interventions necessary to help improve the life of smallholder farmers in the sub-Saharan African countries and as well as in Asia. Today, we are strongly supported by Gates Foundation in enhancing these studies. It also is impacting into the priority setting activities that we do every now and then to set the priorities right. We are situated in Andhra Pradesh, Hyderabad. We are tapping the power of ICT innovations for agriculture. And we would like to believe that we have put in place a very framework with which we can share the right information with the right people at the right time through the right channels. By Wednesday, we will be launching a new Center of Excellence on ICT innovations for agriculture. This is again a partnership with an Infosys, with ICAR, and many other institutions in Asia. So these lessons have been significant. The products that we have developed have created lots of waves and impacts, but it's not enough. There have been, in most cases, isolated techno fixes that are not enough to really stimulate great green revolution in the dryland countries. The call of the hour is a great green revolution. Well, Professor Swaminathan termed this as evergreen revolution. And we have to do things much differently this time around. And we have started that process as early as 2 years ago. So what was wrong then with the current dynamics, the drivers? The biggest issue is that our smallholder farmers are mostly in subsistence. So they are being trapped with poverty and hunger. They cannot produce enough food to feed the household. So which means there are no surpluses, no surplus incomes, and they cannot afford much of the inputs necessary to give them higher productivities. And there continues the problem of soil mining. And that's why we support that soil and water conservation measures would be a key entry point in enhancing productivity of agricultural drylands in Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. Therefore, the engine of development cannot gain traction as a result. We would like now to believe that applying these concerns and these issues to the mission of ICRISAT, we have considered two major dimensions that are key in terms of making agriculture a profitable business venture in dryland crops. One of these dimensions is harnessing the markets, and the other dimension is the management of risks. So markets, risks, these are key features of this new strategic framework that we follow. So the stepping stone, we now have this very popular framework called inclusive market-oriented development. And we have seen many of the development agencies, funding agencies having enshrined in their new strategy, USAID for one, value chain approach, IPAD for one, making small agricultural business, many other development agencies. Markets is again, so harnessing markets,